Nigeria Diaspora Television is here in Johannesburg, and we're about to interview the former president of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Mr. President, thank you for giving us the opportunity as Nigeria Diaspora Television to interview you immediately after the successful your successful book launch in Johannesburg a few days ago. Mr. President, sir, please can you tell us, with the new AU chairman, what do you think he will be able to achieve as AU chair, and do you have confidence in him?
Well, the new AU chair, for as much as I know, is not a greenhorn as far as AU operation, AU Constitutive Act are concerned. He has been based in Addis Ababa. He has been very active, representing his own country, and as foreign minister, he had done very well. I believe it's all these put together that recommended him for the job. Now, but there is something that is happening. I think it's just fortuitously, if not initiated by him, but the outcome of it, he will have to implement, and that is the reform. President Kagame was tasked by the AU to lead an AU reform, and he submitted a very good report at the last AU summit. And of course, part of our problem, not only at the AU level, but even at most national levels in Africa, is we have reports and there's no adequate follow-up. The reports are put in shelves and they continue to gather dust and spider webs in the cupboards. But this time, President Kagame was requested, and he graciously accepted also to start the implementation of the report. And what the AU wisely did is to task 3 people: the last chairman of AU, the incoming, who is now the current chairman, and then the man who actually chaired the committee on the recommendations of reform. And I see that as a very good beginning for the new chairman of the commission. I believe that he on the seat will be the man to implement what need to be done in terms of whatever the 3 presidents will say, yes, this has to be done now. This has to be done in 3 months' time. So I believe that augurs well, particularly in the area of getting adequate funding for AU. AU cannot be taken seriously, nor can it achieve much if it has to depend almost to the point of 90% for its program from outsiders, European Union and such other organizations. And I believe that the money to run AU efficiently and effectively can be made within Africa. I don't see others who are interested or who want to be our partners in one area or the other cannot contribute. But we must be the architect, the main contributor for the programs of the AU.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, as the chair of the West African Drug Commission, please can you share with us your thoughts on what you're doing in the organization?
Well, thank you very much. It was the initiative of Kofi Annan, and when he asked me to chair the commission, I initially was a little bit reluctant, but of course I take it that if some of my friends like Kofi Annan asked me to do something, I would just say, well, all right, if it's in the interest of any sub-region of Africa, like West Africa sub-region, or in the interest of Africa, or indeed in the interest of the international community, like the UN, I will have no choice but to do it. So I accepted to chair the commission. The commission was made up of myself as chair, people who are academicians, people who are in the civil society, who are interested in drug issues, and such like people. So we took on, we visited countries, we interviewed people, and what we came up with is that the idea, or the prevalent idea before the work of the commission, that, well, West Africa in particular, but Africa generally, is transit, and well, we shouldn't worry ourselves. We are not users, we are not producers, we are not consumers. It's fallacy. We have now seen that we have danger, great danger, of our youth becoming drug addicts, some not of their own volition, some because of bad company, some because of carelessness and dereliction on the part of parents, on the part of the schools, and such like. But whatever it is now a danger to our community. Now that was the first thing that we found. The next, this other thing we found is that the treatment, or the way the issue of a drug is being taken is taken as a criminal issue. The health aspect of it is almost totally neglected. And we then say, look, the idea of treating drug as a criminal matter has not worked. Now, therefore, we should also look at the health aspect of it, and that is very, very important. In most countries, the issue of drug is under the Minister of Justice. The Ministry of Health has nothing to do with it, and so we brought that out, that there should now be a change in the way this issue is being looked at. So that will mean bringing in more rehabilitation centers, humane treatment, and criminalization should be reduced. We don't say take criminality completely out, Because that will be difficult in some countries, and we appreciate that. But we believe that making it just criminal. You treat a drug baron who makes millions of dollars, and somebody who you found a wrap of marijuana, you treat them alike. Now it is absolutely
unfair.
Unfair and unjust and not right. Now that was another thing. So we also said that each of our countries in West Africa should look at their law and amend their laws, or do carry out a reform and amend their laws accordingly. We also talk about collaboration. Take a country like Guinea-Bissau. They told us that they have islands that they could not even monitor or supervise, and that is not right. So we said between ourselves in West Africa, and indeed in Africa generally, there should be exchange of information, there should be collaboration, there should be cooperation, and there should be areas where we can help ourselves. And then, of course, we appeal to international community, European Union, for instance, and we said that, look, the countries of manufacturing or production, countries of consumption, and our regions, and transit regions have to work together. It's no question of, oh yes, these things come from Asia, whatever comes from Asia or comes from Latin America, it's none of our concern. Oh, it's going to Europe and we are just transit, or it's going to America where the consumption, like consumption takes place, it's none of our concern. No, we said, look, the producing countries, the transit countries, and the consuming countries must work together. And so this is more or less the major. And then, of course, we work with the Global Commission, which was chaired by my colleague, the former president of Brazil. And right now that the special UN General Assembly had completed its work, we now have the former president of Switzerland looking, just keeping it going. And some of us, I'm still a member of that, just to keep our eyes and watch, oversight sort of, as we go along.
Mr. President, sir, you set up NEPAD with President Mbeki and President Bouteflika 15 years ago. Are you happy with the new partnership for Africa's development and what they're doing currently?
Yes, well, NEPAD, as the name implies, we said right from the word go, is partnership. Partnership within our different individual countries, partnership within sub-region, partnership within Africa, and partnership between Africa and the international community, our development partners. So the emphasis is on partnership. And if you are going to talk of partnership, everybody must have his own bit to do. We must have our own bit to do internally and to do as partners. So to that extent, when I was chairing it, and I chaired it until I left government in 2007, we were on course. But don't forget that 3 of us were really instrumental or if you like, we were at the
anchor
or the pioneer, whichever way what you want to use. And that was President Thabo Mbeki, myself, and President Bouteflika. We started, we push it up to a point, and then I left office. President Thabo Mbeki left office. President Bouteflika hadn't left office, but was too weak to be very active. So our successors started managing things, and I believe to the extent that we talk of partnership and other things that came from that program, because it's a program of the AU, like peer review mechanism, they continue. I will say if a bit of fervor had been reduced, if the flame is not burning as it was burning before, it's just a question of fanning the flame and making it go higher. But it hasn't died, but it needs a little bit of fueling. And you talk about Africa Progress Panel. Now, it is the job of Africa Progress Panel is to look at NEPAD and all the things that we were doing with our development partners. Are we keeping our own side of the bargain? I mean, Africa. Our development partners keeping their own side? Are there areas that we need to bring up for every side to do its own side? And that is what we are doing in Africa Progress Panel. And I believe that too had done fairly well. We bring an issue, we bring it to the fore, we write report on it, we bring in advocacy on it. For instance, we are now talking about blue economy. What are we getting? What do we need to do? How are we managing resources of our ocean, of our rivers, of our coastal waters? That is our responsibility. But it's not only our responsibility, it's also the responsibility of our partners, those who either surreptitiously exploit these resources. How can we deal with it? We even talk about the issue of pirate and that sort of thing. So they all come together. NEPAD, yes, is there. It needs to be energized, but it's not dead. APP is there, is doing what it should be doing, and is complementary to NEPAD and other programs of AU, like common agriculture, common trade, and or inter-African trade, and such other things.
Mr. President, please can you tell us, we have a Nigerian who heads the African Development Bank. How do you think is going to be able to assist the Nigerian government in terms of development? We know that Donald Kaberuka, the Rwandese, while he was there, we know that there was a lot of positive things that happened in Rwanda.
Well, as you rightly said, Donald Kaberuka was there. Donald Kaberuka worked for Africa, and not for Rwanda alone. And I believe it's a good thing that Nigerian is now elected to that post. I know Akin Additional very well. He's a competent man. He's a very focused man. He's a man that had done well in almost everything he has undertaken in the international arena. He has come up with things that I think is very good. I think he called them highs. I think, is it 5 highs? Infrastructure is one of them. Agriculture is another. Intra-African trade is another. I believe he has got his focus right. Whether he will get resources mobilized to be able to make adequate impact, I think that is where we all have to help him, and particularly the international community. He has maintained that without infrastructure, energy particularly, development in Africa will be not make the mark that it should make. Now, he has been very, very interested in agriculture. And when he was Minister of Agriculture in Nigeria, he made impact. And I expect that he will also make impact in the area. He's already talking of reform so that the 4 or 5 regions of Africa, or sub-regions of Africa, there will be a senior officer who will be dealing with the issue on the ground, and which I believe is good. You now put the officers there on the ground so that they know the problem and they can deal with the problem, so that the headquarters is headquarters for administration, not a large overhead at headquarters. The workers should be in the sub-regions where they serve and where the needs are. So I wish Additional well. He has begun very well, and I believe he will continue to do well.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for your thoughts on Africa. We really appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much.